Those were the words made famous by Fannie Lou Hamer at the 1964 Democratic National Convention. Fannie Lou Hamer emerged as a powerful voice of the civil rights movement, dedicating her life to fighting for voter rights and racial equality. Born in 1917 in Mississippi, Hamer's journey began as an activist in 1962 when she first attempted to register to vote. Despite facing brutal opposition, including a severe beating in 1963, Hamer persevered. She became a key organizer for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, and also co-founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. Throughout her life, Hamer faced numerous challenges, including poverty and health issues, but she never wavered from her commitment to justice. Hamer's impact on the civil rights movement was so significant that in 2025, she was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Born in 1912, Dorothy Height dedicated over 70 years of her life to fighting for racial and gender equality. As president of the National Council of Negro Women for 4 decades, she championed voter rights, desegregation, and economic justice, not just for Black Americans, but for women across the nation. In the 1960s, Height was a key strategist, working alongside the Big Six civil rights leaders. Though she wasn't given a speaking role at the historic 1963 March on Washington, her influence was undeniable. She advised presidents from Eisenhower to Obama. Her impact extended beyond protest and policy. Height launched programs to empower Black women in education, finance, and leadership, ensuring that progress didn't stop at legislation, but reached everyday lives. In 2004, President George W. Bush awarded her the Congressional Gold Medal, a testament to her lifelong service. Even in her final years, she remained a symbol of strength, reminding us that justice is never given, it must be fought for. Daisy Bates, born in 1914, was a fearless civil rights activist who played a pivotal role in the desegregation of American schools. As president of the Arkansas NAACP, Bates became the driving force behind the Little Rock Nine, a group of African American students who integrated Little Rock Central High School in 1957. Bates and her husband published the Arkansas State Press, a newspaper that exposed civil rights violations and challenged racial injustice. Despite facing threats and violence, including rocks thrown through her windows and crosses burned on her lawn, Bates remained steadfast in her commitment to equality. During this turbulent time, it earned her national recognition. Bates' legacy as a courageous advocate for civil rights continues to inspire. Her unwavering dedication to justice and equality helped pave the way for future generations, making her an enduring symbol of the fight against racial segregation in America. Ida B. Wells was a fearless civil rights pioneer who dedicated her life to combating racial injustice in America. Born into slavery in 1862, Wells became a trailblazing investigative journalist, exposing the horrors of lynching through meticulous research and powerful writing. In the 1890s, Wells launched a crusade against lynching, traveling throughout the South to document cases and debunk the myth that Black men were lynched for raping white women. Her groundbreaking pamphlets, Southern Horrors, and A Red Record revealed the truth, that lynching was used to terrorize and control African Americans. Wells co-founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. She did that in 1909, continuing her fight for equality. She also championed women's suffrage. Throughout her career, Wells faced constant threats and violence. Her newspaper office was destroyed by a white mob, forcing her to relocate to Chicago. Yet she persevered, writing, speaking, and organizing tirelessly. Ida B. Wells' courage laid the crucial foundation for the modern civil rights movement, shining a light on racial injustice and inspiring generations of activists to come. In the heart of the civil rights movement stood a quiet force, Ella Josephine Baker. Not a charismatic preacher or a headline-seeking leader, but a visionary organizer who believed in the power of ordinary people to spark extraordinary change. From the 1940s, Baker crisscrossed the South as NAACP's director of branches, building grassroots networks in barbershops, churches, and living rooms. Spadework, she called it, laying the foundation for a movement rooted in community, not top-down commands. By 1957, she had helped co-found the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, but soon turned to students, fueling sit-ins, training organizers, and midwiving the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. SNCC became the movement's boldest engine under her guidance. "You are the hope," she told them. They desegregated lunch counters, braved Mississippi's back roads for voter drives, and birthed the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, challenging segregation at the 1964 Democratic Convention. Baker's legacy lives where people organize without permission, in Black Lives Matter protests, mutual aid networks, and the Ella Baker Center's fight for justice today. In 1955, Mamie Till Mobley's 14-year-old son Emmett was brutally murdered in Mississippi. Instead of mourning quietly, she made a decision that ignited the civil rights movement. Mamie insisted on an open casket funeral, allowing tens of thousands to witness the horrific violence inflicted on her son. This brave act exposed the brutal reality of racial injustice to the world. Following Emmett's death, Mamie became a powerful voice for change. She toured the country sharing her story and raising funds for the civil rights cause. Her speeches united people and inspired action against racial inequality. Mamie's activism extended beyond her son's story. She dedicated 23 years to teaching in Chicago public schools, advocating for children living in poverty. She even established the Emmett Till Players, a theater group that performed speeches by civil rights leaders to inspire hope and determination. Mamie's courage in the face of tragedy and her tireless efforts for justice and education left an indelible mark on the civil rights movement, proving that one mother's love could indeed change the course of history. Rosa Parks is often remembered as the quiet seamstress who refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus. That sparked a historic boycott in 1955. But Rosa Parks was far more than that single moment. A seasoned activist, she had been fighting racial injustice long before that day, serving as secretary of the Montgomery NAACP and working on cases of racial violence and voter suppression. Her arrest became a rallying cry, leading to the 381-day boycott that crippled Montgomery's bus system and culminated in a Supreme Court ruling declaring segregation on public buses unconstitutional. Yet Parks herself expressed concern that the boycott overshadowed her broader civil rights efforts. After facing relentless harassment and job losses in Alabama, she moved to Detroit, where she continued her activism. Rosa Parks' legacy is not just about one act of defiance, but about a lifetime dedicated to justice and equality. This should be a reminder that change requires both courage in the moment and commitment over time. In the segregated South of 1955, a 15-year-old girl named Claudette Colvin made history. Born in Montgomery, Alabama, Colvin refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger on March 2, 1955. This brave act came 9 months before Rosa Parks' similar protest. Despite her pivotal role, Colvin's story was overshadowed for decades. Civil rights leaders chose not to publicize her case due to her age and personal circumstances. However, in recent years, Colvin's contribution has gained recognition. Montgomery now celebrates March 2nd as Claudette Colvin Day. Colvin's courageous stand at such a young age reminds us that everyone, regardless of age, can make a difference in the fight for equality and justice. Evelyn Gibson Lowry, born on February 16, 1925, was a remarkable civil rights activist who dedicated her life to promoting equality and justice. As the wife of Reverend Joseph Lowry, she stood alongside him in numerous civil rights struggles, participating in marches, boycotts, and even facing jail time. In 1979, Lowry founded the SCLC Women, an organization that became a powerful voice for women's rights within the civil rights movement. Lowry's activism extended beyond the United States. She marched from Alabama to Washington, D.C. to support the extension of the Voting Rights Act and demonstrated against South African apartheid. Her courage in the face of danger was evident when she continued her work despite bomb threats and being shot at by the Ku Klux Klan. To honor fellow activists, Lowry created the annual Drum Major for Justice Awards and established monuments for civil rights icons. Her unwavering commitment to social justice and equality has left an indelible mark on the civil rights movement. Diane Nash, born May 15, 1938 in Chicago, Illinois, emerged as a pivotal figure in the American civil rights movement. As a student at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, Nash experienced the harsh realities of segregation firsthand, which ignited her passion for social justice. Nash's courage and strategic thinking were instrumental in continuing the freedom rides in 1961. When violence threatened to halt the movement, Nash insisted on pressing forward, stating, "We recognize that if the freedom ride ended right then, after all of that violence, Southern white racists would think that they could stop a project by inflicting enough violence on it." As a co-founder of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in 1960, Nash played a crucial role in shaping the student wing of the civil rights movement. She later joined the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, where she worked closely with Dr. Martin Luther King. Nash's legacy continues to inspire. In July 2022, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Joe Biden, recognizing her lifelong dedication to civil rights and social justice. Marion Wright Edelman, born in 1939, has been a tireless advocate for civil rights and children's rights for over 5 decades. As the first African-American woman admitted to the Mississippi Bar in 1964, she began her career fighting for racial justice during the tumultuous civil rights movement. Edelman's work with the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund led her to represent activists during the Mississippi Freedom Summer of 1964. Her dedication to social justice caught the attention of Senator Robert F. Kennedy, whom she accompanied to witness poverty in the Mississippi Delta. In 1973, Edelman founded the Children's Defense Fund, an organization that has become a powerful voice for poor children, children of color, and children with disabilities. Through this platform, she has worked tirelessly to influence policy changes, improve foster care, and support adoption while protecting our vulnerable children. Marion Wright Edelman's legacy as a civil rights icon and children's advocate serves as a beacon for those fighting for equality and justice in America. Coretta Scott King was far more than just the wife of Martin Luther King Jr. She was a visionary activist in her own right, with a legacy that extends well beyond the civil rights movement. Before meeting Martin, Coretta was already involved in civil rights activities, participating in the NAACP and various peace initiatives during her college years. She insisted on removing the word obey from her wedding vows, foreshadowing her lifelong commitment to equality. Coretta was a talented singer who often used her musical abilities to raise funds for civil rights movements. She played a crucial role in advocating for the establishment of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which became reality in 1983. Coretta's activism extended globally. She participated in peace conferences, led goodwill missions to various countries, and met with influential figures like Pope John Paul II and the Dalai Lama. Her commitment to social justice continued long after her husband's death. She founded the King Center, organized the Coalition of Conscience, and remained a vocal advocate for economic justice and women's rights throughout her life. Coretta Scott King's legacy is one of unwavering dedication to equality, peace, and justice for all. For the women we've met here today, their fight was never for fame. It was for justice. Their legacy is not in the past. It lives in us. The women of the civil rights movement paved the way, and now we must walk it. Honor their courage and continue their work. The struggle isn't over. It is now our challenge to create the next draft of history.